Hi, thanks so much for checking out our Time and Focus Management training course. I'm Alison Miles-Jenkins and I'm CEO of Training to Achieve. For the last 25 years, my company has been travelling throughout the UK and internationally, helping people in all sorts of organisations develop some fantastic skills and techniques that they need to perform effectively at work and have successful careers. And of course, time management is absolutely pivotal to all of that. So what I want to do today is to give you a very brief overview of some of the top secrets, tips, techniques and skills we share with our clients and our delegates when we go in and we develop and run this in-house course for them. Many people that I work with tell me that they feel something like this. The time ticks by during their day, and however much they put effort into trying to schedule and plan and prioritise, somehow it leaves them feeling exactly like this. Not enough time to get the key work, the key tasks accomplished so that they can go home feeling they've had a really successful day. So what I want to do is to change all that and give you a brief overview of what the secret tips and techniques are for really getting more done with less time and maybe even less people these days. So what I've chosen to do in the next few minutes is share just some of our top time and focus management techniques so that you can maximise, or your team will know how to maximise each moment. I've also picked delegation because it's a wonderful time management tool, but it's so often done so badly. It's what I call the sock basket scenario, and I'm going to be sharing that with you later in this video. And then the other kind of Achilles heel for many people is their inability to say no, and saying yes to other people's requests for help and so on gets them into real hot water when they find they haven't actually managed to fulfill what they'd hoped to achieve that day. So we're going to be looking at why saying no can be difficult and how to say it in a positive way, and that's going to be at the end of this video. So if you are hoping that you're going to learn something from this video as well as get an overview, why not grab a pen and an iPad or a pad of paper and take some notes, because I'm sure there are going to be things that are going to catch your eye. And hopefully, as a result of even this brief snapshot, you're going to know that there are many techniques and tips that you can take away to make you feel more in control of time rather than time controlling you. So let's get on with it. What is time? Wonder if that's ever really occurred to you. What is it that we're actually talking about when we talk about time? Well, I firmly believe that time is actually a resource. In fact, it is our most important resource when we come to work, but it's a very unique resource as well. Because if you think about it, we can't accumulate it, can we? We can't kind of stockpile it, keep some back for a rainy day. We can't replace it like we can our people. And we can't switch it off like we can our plant, IT equipment, machinery and so on. So we're all forced to spend it daily at exactly the same rate, and on a day-to-day basis we all have the same amount. However, most of us say that we don't have enough of it. And I can always remember this wonderful phrase, it's really stuck in my mind, and that is that time is distributed democratically to all of us. Its inequality only results from how we choose to use it. So on our in-house programs, we help you to use it as wisely and as carefully as you possibly can. So here's some thoughts. We're going to understand what time actually is. I've touched on that already. I'm going to stress to you how important it is that you diagnose where your time's going. Identify how you personally waste time every day, because that's a fact. It's what we call our personal daily losses. How you need to be ruled by your priorities if you want to be successful at work. You need to know how to plan, and you can choose obviously daily for all the great tips and techniques. On our course, for example, we share over 115 top tips and techniques that we know work because our delegates have gone away, used the training and told us. And also that we need to recognise that we can be very ruthless with time, but we always need to be gracious with people. And of course, the sort of Achilles heel for many people, it's not just about learning this stuff, it's actually about going away, applying it, implementing it, and sticking to the plan so you actually see results in the longer term. So here's the first piece of advice that I really want to stress to you. Everybody must have a focus. That's why increasingly time management is being called focus management, and to make sure that we maintain a focus throughout the day. And that is all about being clear on your most wanted action at any one moment in time. So what is your most wanted action, and are you focusing on achieving it? Then think about the things that get in the way. So people always talk to me about their time wasters, and often they're not clear whether it's actually a time waster or a time eater. And of course people come on courses and they want to learn how to control just about everybody else. Well, we can't really do that. So on our course we spend quite a lot of time focusing on getting people to recognise with time problems what sort of things get in the way that we can actually eliminate. And often, unless sadly you're at the top of the tree, which most people aren't, there's not much room for manoeuvre with a lot of these time issues. So you can't eliminate them, but maybe one step down, you can actually control them in some way or possibly influence them. And we have a whole range of strategies to help, particularly with these two, help people control and influence the effects of some of their time eaters in particular. The time wasters are exactly that, so we share completely different strategies for those. The things that you can actually control and influence are what we call our internal time issues. People always focus on the external things to do with the boss, the organisation, the team, the resources, the lack of resources. But if you think about it, for most people, those things are completely outside of their sphere of control. So on our course, we encourage our delegates to think about people's attitudes and mindsets, because of course we can change our attitude, can't we? We can change our mindset. Our self-discipline, how we allocate work, how we delegate work, and what the difference is between those two, which often I find people don't really fully understand. How we keep focus, and what sort of prioritization system do we use that's really going to get us the right results. Our personal and our work organisation. How we're communicating appropriately so that, for example, people understand our instructions and they don't go off and waste their time as well as ours on poorly communicated tasks and challenges and so on. This one is something that I've personally had to work really hard on, which is don't polish peanuts. So we look at perfectionism and working styles, and how some of our preferred working styles really get in the way and they act as time thieves. They take time away from us day in, day out. So I'm going to illustrate to you how to delegate a task effectively, and I'm going to use the sock basket example. This is my most favourite example because it's quite a funny one. People can relate to it, but it demonstrates some hugely important points when we delegate at work. Now, delegation is giving away something temporarily to a member of your team, and it is actually fundamentally your job. So that means you cannot force people to take a delegated task on. So here are the steps. Number one, you plan ahead. So in my household, I have this sock basket, and it's a collection of all the odd socks that somehow don't seem to get matched up when they come out of the washing machine. I think the washing machine must eat them up. So inevitably I end up with a huge pile of socks, and there comes that famous day when I have to match the socks. Now, it's really not cost-effective use of my time to spend an hour sorting the sock basket. But hey, I've got a younger daughter who's at university, and when she comes home, she's always looking for some extra money. So she's a prime person that I can choose to delegate to. But remember what I said, it's my role really, not hers. So I plan ahead. I think I'm going to ask her, and ask is the key word. At work you have to consult. You have to ask the person if they're happy to undertake the delegated task. Now, when you're planning ahead as well, you need to think about how quickly do I need to get this done? But more importantly, what is the standard that I want the task done to? Because let's face it, We use the analogy with Frankie and the sock basket. She hasn't done the sock basket before. I've done it for years. So her level of performance, first or second time she does it, cannot be equated to my level of performance. So I have to consider, what is a minimum acceptable standard? This is a key point, because this is one of the barriers at work to why people don't delegate. They think it's quicker, it's easier to delegate it myself, and I get a better standard. Of course, because it's your job. If it's a one-off task, if I was never going to have the sock basket again, it's probably not worth my time being invested in teaching someone else to do it. And you need to apply that same kind of learning point at work. So we've got a repetitive task. I'm going to delegate it to Frankie, and I'm going to define a performance standard. So that might be, if 80% of the socks are matched accurately, that's fine by me. So I consult her, I explain what I need doing, and then the next step is I have to demonstrate to her. So I show her, and then I don't ask that question that I see lots of people asking at work. All right, so do you understand? Are you happy with the task? Yes, and then off you trundle. Oh no, you've got to say, so Frankie, on the basis of how I've demonstrated this, show this back to me so that I can check that you've fully understood. Because that way, if there's any misunderstanding or potential slip-ups, I can probably identify them from what she shares back. What I then do is I agree a time that I want the sock basket matched and back to me by, but I set an interim period. So, okay, so we've agreed you're going to do it within this time frame to this performance standard, but let's have a quick review in a few days' time just to see how it's going. Then, of course, you delegate and you trust. So once she's taken on the sock basket, she knows she can come to me if there are any difficulties. I don't keep sticking my nose in, looking to make sure that she's doing the task properly, because that's very, very demoralising for the person that you're delegating the task to. So that's more or less it in a snapshot, a very quick tour of delegation. I want to add two other things. Remember, you can delegate authority temporarily and you can delegate responsibility, but you can never ever delegate accountability. So if Frankie messes the sock basket up and I don't spot it, and I'm sitting, or say my husband's sitting in a meeting in London and he's got one black ankle sock and a navy blue long sock on, that's actually down to me. I'm accountable for that, not Frankie. So there's a quick tour of delegation, which I hope will help. And then finally, let's look at another Achilles heel, which is saying no. So many people really, really struggle with this at work. And I think one of the key reasons is we like to be helpful, don't we? And we also like to be seen to be capable, all singing and dancing. So if, for example, our boss comes and asks us to do something, we feel we have to kind of jump. And of course that can get us into a lot of bother, because if we say yes, we can take something else on, when really we can't, we get stressed, our actual performance standards slip, maybe we let someone else down as a result, then in actual fact it comes full circle, doesn't it? And we end up looking exactly what we were fearing, incapable, because we haven't performed particularly well. So here's some very brief guidelines on how to say no, and obviously on our full course we go into all of this in a lot more detail. So the first step is to listen to exactly what the person is asking you. And that's hard, because often the barriers come down as soon as we hear that kind of, oh, have you got a moment? Or I just wanted to ask you if. But we have to kind of remove all those sort of concerns and really truly listen to the request. Check exactly what's wanted, again by asking open questions, not, oh, well, will it take long? Because of course the person making the request will go, oh no, only a few minutes. Whereas if you said, what exactly does it involve, you're going to get a much better idea of whether you can fit the work in and the time allowance or not. Notice your immediate reaction, because that's normally the right one. So if it is no, then that's what you must persist with. If you are unsure, you can actually ask for thinking it over time. So I've just got to check my to-do list. I will come back to you within half an hour. At the moment, I'm not sure. If you come back and you know the answer is no, or you know the answer is no or should be no initially, one thing that can really make a difference, people have told me, is to acknowledge your feelings. So instead of just saying, no, sorry, I can't do it today, you say, as you know, I'm normally only too happy to help. However, today, I'm sorry, the answer is no. You can give a reason if it's genuine, but don't give an excuse. And remember, the more you give away as explanation as to why you can't do a task, the more the person's going to come back to you and say, oh, well, what if I took that bit on? And then you can end up getting in a real muddle full of excuses that are actually letting you down. And if you feel pressurised when saying no because the person simply won't let go, then you can use an assertive training technique called the broken record. But I haven't got time to tell you about that today, but we cover that obviously on our full course. And just one final caveat, when you're saying no, obviously you can't say no to work that you are contracted to do. And if you're saying no to your boss, then there are other considerations that you need to take on board. And we cover all that sort of thing, as I say, in a lot more detail on our full course. So finally, a few little samples of some of my most favourite techniques that really help me manage my really busy professional and personal life. Have a master list. Don't work off your master list. You need a daily to do as well. Unless you're in a life-death situation work-wise, you really do need to turn your email notifications off and just check them regularly throughout the day. Think about, are you a lark or a nightingale? Where are your peak energy levels? And try and slot your most important heavy-duty work in accordingly. Don't go for the low-hanging fruit. So no cherry picking. I know that's really enticing to do, but you really need to focus on your big priorities first. It's always a good idea to under-promise and over-deliver rather than the other way round. And what about a folder of portable tasks? So either on your laptop, or if you're still working manually with paperwork, a folder of your less important things that you can just kind of chip away at or do quickly whilst you're waiting to go in to see the boss or waiting to go into a meeting. Batch your routine tasks, so things like electronic filing, do a batch at a time. Work with a clear desk, that's an absolute golden rule. Self-authorised agendas, book time with yourself, time for reflection, time for planning and so on. Have a rule that you do not procrastinate, you make a decision every time. Be readily accessible, particularly if you are a manager or team leader, but not all of the time. Share all these secrets with the team so your colleagues and your staff can learn from them as well. But most importantly, as I said right at the beginning, it's about selecting some techniques, implementing them and sticking with them, because you will see the results in the long term. So why not book us to come in and deliver the course in-house? You can either call us on 0845 165 6269, or you can get in touch using the Contact Us form on the page here on our website. Thanks, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Bye for now.